We have Alan Hoffman from Rhode Island. We have Francois Guidard from Paris. We have Miriam Wazé from Chauvignac Lafayette. We have Beatrice Slovakia live from the Picpus Cemetery, and Benoit Guizard from Belle-Île, France, all joining us, as well as Augie Huber from Missouri. So we are all over the world today from you live. Please stay with us throughout the presentation. At the end, we're going to show a very special film showing the actual event when the Americans liberated Paris in World War I, marched down the Champs-Élysées, and ended up at Picpus and Lafayette's tomb. So we have a very packed day today. But first, we're going to start today's ceremony with the national anthem from the United States and France. First, the Star-Spangled Banner, and then La Marseillaise. Okay, thank you very much. Now, without any further ado, I present to you the president of the American Friends of Lafayette, live from Rhode Island, President Alan Hoffman.
Unmute. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yes, great. Bonjour. July 4, 1917, Picpus Cemetery in Paris. That's the when and the where. That's the easy part. But what about the who and the what? Who said those magical words? Was it Commander-in-Chief John J. Pershing, or was it his aide, Colonel Stanton? And what did he actually say? Did he say, Lafayette, we are here en anglais? Or did he say, Lafayette, nous voilà in French? Or even Lafayette, nous voici in French? You know, that wasn't the first time that General Pershing was at Picpus. He was there in mid-June, and I'm grateful to our friend and member, Pierre-Antoine de Chambrun, for sharing with us that information. And he also shared a photograph, which perhaps Bonnie can share with you now. Yeah, there it is. So General Pershing, in his diary, which is published in his memoir, My Experiences in the World War, says this: in company with the Marquis de Chambrun and his brother Colonel de Chambrun, descendants of Lafayette, drove to Picpus Cemetery and placed a wreath on Lafayette's tomb. You can see the wreath on Lafayette's tomb in that photograph. And the four major participants, the Marquis de Chambrun is in civilian clothes. You can see him on the right of General Pershing. So in his memoir, General Pershing set the scene for the July 4th ceremony. He says, the French wish to honor our Independence Day and suggested that some of our troops should participate with theirs in its appropriate observance. People of Paris had not yet seen any American troops, and the authorities felt that their actual appearance on the streets would be a good effect on the French. The initial ceremony was held at in the Court of Honor at Les Invalides, and then the troops marched to Picpus. This Pershing continues. This first appearance of American combat troops in Paris brought forth joyful acclaim from the people. On the march to Lafayette's tomb at Picpus Cemetery, the battalion was joined by a great crowd, many women forcing their way into the ranks and swinging along arm in arm with the men. The exercises at the ceremony consisted of a few speeches, the principal speaker being Mr. Brand Whitlock, who was our ambassador to Belgium. Mr. Whitlock was an author who was a member of the American, he wrote a biography of Lafayette and later joined the American Friends of Lafayette in 1932 when it was formed. Pershing continues, I had been previously asked to deliver an address, but had designated Colonel C.E. Stanton of my staff, an old Army friend of mine and somewhat of an orator, to speak in my place. And then Pershing says, it was on this occasion and on that spot that utterance was given to an expression that could have been born only of inspiration, one that will live long in history. Lafayette, we are here. Many have attributed this striking utterance to me, and I have often wished that it could have been mine, but I have no recollection of saying anything so splendid. I am sure that these words were spoken by Colonel Stanton, and to him must go the credit of coining so happy and felicitous phrase. Now, the next slide is the last page of the handwritten speech that Colonel Stanton provided to General Pershing. And on the left bottom, if you look closely, you can see that Pershing initialed it OK, JJP, John J. Pershing. And you see also on the bottom those famous words, Lafayette, we are here. Now, Pershing's, Stanton's speech is recorded in a work of a Lafayette College professor whose name was Albert Hatton Gilmer. It's an unpublished work, but in his work, he gives the entire speech. Quote, I regret I cannot speak to the good people in the beautiful language of their own fair country. Again, showing that it was said in English. The fact cannot be forgotten that your nation was our friend when America was struggling for existence, when a handful of brave and patriotic people were determined to uphold their rights their creator gave them, that France in the person of Lafayette came to our aid in words and deed. It would be ingratitude not to remember this, and America defaults no obligations. And then he concluded, America has joined forces with the Allied powers, and what we have of blood and treasure are yours. Therefore, it is with loving pride that we drape the colors in tribute of respect to this citizen of your great republic. And here and now, in the shadow of the illustrious dead, we pledge our heart and our honor in carrying this war to a successful issue. Lafayette, we are here. Professor Patton quotes a person who was present. First, he says, in some way, however, the meaning, even though it was in French, in some way, the meaning of the salutation and the last farewell words found an immediate response from the crowd. Of course, all Americans present at once caught the line, the fine feeling and the full import of the words as they fell from the lips of the soldiers drawn up to erect that salute before uttering them. French citizens who understood the English words immediately translated their meaning into their own language. It was almost as though a bomb had been hurled into the cemetery and had exploded. And I will conclude with the quotation of Miss Clara Greenleaf Perry, who was present that day. In relating her experience, she said, "I was not far from Colonel Stanton as he spoke, and when he said, 'Lafayette, we are here,' I was thrilled. The words came like an electric shock. I felt distinctly a quivering of my body as though it had been suddenly struck by some powerful force. It was just like a lightning stroke. Many people turned and gazed in amazement at one another for a moment and then burst into applause. I went home and recorded my impressions in a diary kept by me. I am sure Colonel Stanton spoke the words entirely in English." Thank you.
Thank you, President Hoffman. Thank you very much. Okay, as many of you know, every year at this ceremony, the American Friends of Lafayette lay a wreath at the Picpus ceremony, and we are one of many organizations that do so. But the organization that runs this ceremony, that is important, that takes care of everything for the ceremony, is the SAR in France. And today, I'm very honored to introduce to everybody Francois Guidard. He is the secretary of the SAR in France, live from Paris. Francois?
Yes, thank you. I will just introduce my presentation with some events of the Picpus Cemetery and commemoration ceremonies, including the reposting of the American flag on the tomb of Lafayette. Next one. Thank you. Picpus Cemetery is the largest private cemetery in Paris, located in the 12th arrondissement. It was created from land seized from the convent of the Chanoinesses de Saint-Augustin during the French Revolution. Just minutes away from where the guillotine was set up, it contains 1,306 victims executed between June 14th and July 27th, 1794, during the height of the Reign of Terror. Today, only descendants of those 1,306 victims are eligible to be buried at Picpus Cemetery. And under you have a view take from Google Earth on the cemetery, and on the left side you have the Picpus Street with the main entry. You go in the first part when we start the ceremony. It's here, and you have the chapel Notre-Dame de la Paix. In this chapel are inscribed in the all name of the 1,306 victims. And after you follow the file in black by foot, one or the other way, to arrive in the cemetery on the left side, on the right side, sorry, until the Lafayette tomb, which is Lafayette, Gilbert and Adrienne de Lafayette tomb in the edge, just right next to the two common graves. Next one. And why Lafayette tomb in Picpus and not in the other cemetery from Paris, like Père Lachaise or Montparnasse, for the very known cemeteries? As explained in the previous presentation, only descendants of the victims of the terror buried in the common graves are allowed to be buried in the cemetery. In 1803, when Napoleon was first consul, a group of family members of aristocrats booked up the rest of the land and built a second cemetery next to the common graves. When Adrienne de Lafayette died in December 24th, 1807, she was buried in the cemetery where sister, mother, and grandmother were among those beheaded and thrown into the common pit. On Gilbert's death, on May 22nd, 1834, he joined his wife in her grave. It's the reason why Lafayette tomb is in Picpus. Next. Next page. Thank you. And you have seen at the beginning, in September 9, 1897, chapter creation of American sons residing in France, mainly in Paris. They found the annual commemoration at the cemetery on July 4th. Later, the first flag was installed during General Pershing and Colonel Stanton's visit on July 4th, 1917. The reposing of the flag was included every year to the existing commemoration ceremony. October 10th, 1926, was created a committee for the creation of a society in France agreed by the National Society of the Sons of American Revolution. On February 4th, 1927, vote of the statutes, the Society in France of the SAR was born. And now, and every year follows the commemoration, and now on request of the US Embassy, the date of the commemoration move around July 4th, because on this date, the embassy have a lot to do. And to end my presentation, SAR France members, descendants of Gilbert du Motier, Marquis de Lafayette, since 1957, it was the entry in the members' directory. We count 47 descendants, members of SAR France, and actually we have 11 active members. It's the list you have here. Unfortunately, the Prince Raimondo Orsini d'Aragoda died in the date is wrong, in March last year, 2020. And we have today 11 active members, descendants of Lafayette. SAR France altogether today count 601 members, include the 60 US dual members. Some of these dual members assist at this moment to the video conference. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Francois. That was wonderful. I really appreciate the history of the cemetery and the telling us where everything was. And I must commend you. Your English is perfect. Thank you very much, Francois.
Thank you.
Really, very, very well done. And now we're going to stay in France. We're going to move south to the city of Chavagnac, where Lafayette was born and raised, and live from the Chateau de Lafayette, the president of Club Lafayette and longtime AFL member, Miriam Loisé. Miriam, take it away from Chavagnac.
Yes. Yes, so here I am. Hi, I can see my picture, but is everything okay?
Yes, perfect.
Yes, so I'm president of the Club Lafayette and a French member of the AFL. With me, the mayor of Chavagnac-Lafayette, Maurice Lapp. Can you come and say hello? Yes, I don't know if you can see him. And
yes, we can.
Michael Vacher, the representative of the Department of Haute-Loire. We are happy to share in your company this particular day, the 4th of July, your national day, the Independence Day, the independence to which the native son of Chavagnac, Lafayette, contributed with his participation to the War of Independence. We are here in the very castle where he was born in 1757. In the honor courtyard, you will see two flags floating, the French and the American flags, as living symbols of the everlasting friendship uniting our two countries and of the French and American alliance in which Lafayette acted as a precursor. Everywhere in the castle and outside in the gardens, you could feel the presence of Washington, who was so important to Lafayette, his adopted father, his guide. Lafayette Castle was bought by the Americans in 1917, and it's now the property of the Department of Haute-Loire. I will announce you that a very ambitious project is on the road, the 2026 project, which will bring a new life to Lafayette Historical Castle. It will be an attractive spot for visitors, and we hope for American visitors. Let us say welcome to you in Lafayette's native land, and vive les États-Unis, and vive la France, and vive Lafayette.
Miriam, will you tell us what we're showing here on the screen, please?
Yes, of course. Oh, so here you can see this flag, which is at the top of the flight of the stairs, and it was flown over the US Capitol in 2005. And here on the right part, you can see a portrait, a painting of the landing of Lafayette at Georgetown in 1777, here on the right part. Next one, please. So it's the same. Next one, please. Oh, so it is Salon des Philosophes, the reception room. Next one. Oh, I think that, no, just if you can come back, because here in this salon, it is very important to notice that there are two statues, bust statues, fronting each other, one of Lafayette and the other one of Washington. Next one, please. So here is the bedroom of Lafayette. It's more intimate. And here you can have a notice of Lafayette's portrait when he was a young soldier, and the one of Washington a bit older. Next one. Here is the drawing room or boudoir of Adrienne de Lafayette. And on the right, you can see portraits of the three children of Lafayette, such as Gilbert and Adrienne. Next one. Here is a pond. It's a very romantic place with a beautiful garden. Next one. And here, perhaps you can recognize the two small trees which were offered a few years ago, and they're growing and strengthening like our friendship and our links. And it is an American persimmon and a Virginia tulip tree. Next one. And here it's a movie. I would like it to move because it's very beautiful, and I think that it doesn't need any comment. You can hear the wind, and you can see the landscape at the background. And next one, please. You can see the same flags at the top of the towers. And of course, they are floating the same way. Next one. So here it's not in Chavagnac, but it's not very far from the place where I live, between Paris and Versailles. And here you can read Lafayette, nous voici. And on the right part of the screen, you can see General Lafayette with all the battles he was involved in during the Independence War. And on the left part, you can see Pershing, General Pershing with the French battle which he attended, which he fought. Next one. Here is a monument for the commemoration of the 250 birth date of Lafayette in Chavagnac at the outside of the castle, very near the entrance. And next one. I think that's all for my part. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much, Miriam. I really appreciate you being there, and I appreciate everybody behind you. Can we get a Viva Lafayette, please? Thank you very much. And it's an honor to have you and the mayor and everybody there with you. And I just can't express my gratitude enough. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you for attention as well.
Now we're off to the Picpus ceremony live with Beatrice Slovakia and Jean-Jacques Faugeron. Beatrice, are you there?
Yes, we are here.
And you're live from the Picpus ceremony, are you not?
We are here.
Oh, you both look lovely. And are you
Yes,
going,
we are.
so you're going to lay the wreath, and while you do so, I'll say a few words. Is that okay?
Okay. Vas-y.
Alors,
On va y va.
on a fallu qu'on change la gerbe de côté, mais bon. Allez. Allez. Je bouge le drapeau, c'est pas prévu. Hein? Allez. Voilà. Allez, ils sont contents.
Could we get a close-up of the wreath, please? Have the camera.
Ici, Madame de Lafayette, là-bas. Devant vous. Là. Marie, Adrienne, Françoise de Noailles.
Madame de Lafayette.
Voilà.
Wonderful.
Et Monsieur de Lafayette.
And here, Monsieur de Lafayette, le marquis Lafayette.
Décédé le 20 mai 1834.
Died 20th May, quelle année?
1834.
1834.
Sa femme est décédée le 24 décembre 1807.
And his wife died on 24th of May,
1807.
Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you very much.
Lafayette avait promis à sa femme d'être inhumée à côté d'elle. Faut dire ça.
Thank you,
Lafayette-
Jean-Jacques.
May I say one was?
Lafayette avait promis à sa femme, qui était décédée 20 ans plus tôt, d'être inhumée à côté d'elle. C'est bon?
It's what I explained just before. Just one was to Jean-Jacques. Please let the wreath on the tomb until next Wednesday. Jean-Jacques, vous laissez la gerbe. Jean-Jacques, vous laissez la gerbe des AFL jusqu'à mercredi. Elle restera pendant la cérémonie que je dirigerai mercredi prochain. OK?
Thank you, Francois. Thank you, Jean-Jacques. Let me say goodbye to Beatrice, please.
Thank you.
Au revoir, Beatrice. Thank you so
Au revoir.
much. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for being a member.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Beatrice.
Bye.
And now we're off to the halfway around the world, live from Missouri. We have Augie Huber. Now, Augie has laid the ceremonial wreath for the American Friends of Lafayette. He's attended 5 ceremonies and also goes to Picpus on the actual day, July 4th, when it's not on, the ceremony doesn't fall on July 4th. So he is a frequent guest of Picpus, and I'm honored to introduce from Missouri, Augie Huber. Augie?
Sorry about that.
Oh, I did that wrong. I'm so sorry. I did that wrong. Sorry, Benoit. I apologize for, ladies and gentlemen. I skipped somebody very important. I apologize. I'm not paying close enough attention. So, Augie, you're going to put you on hold for a second. I apologize.
That's fine.
Because our next guest is actually also from France, from Belle-Île, France, an island off the west coast of France, longtime AFL member, probably been to more Picpus ceremonies than anybody in the American Friends of Lafayette, board member, and my friend Benoit Guizard. Benoit?
Yes, thank you, Chuck. Hello, everyone. Before I show you a few pictures of Picpus past ceremonies, I would like to say a few words about the unique feature of the Franco-American friendship. As you know, the US and France have never been at war with each other. France has fought almost the entire planet. The US have been at war with many countries around the world, but there never was a war between the two countries. In fact, France and the US is the only pair of major countries in the world that never were at war with each other. Like brothers in the same family, we have had some disagreements indeed, sometimes strong ones, you may remember, but in the end, when one of the two is really threatened, we are always on the same side. There are several reasons for this. First of all, we share the same values of freedom and democracy. The second big reason, in my view, is Lafayette, who built incredibly strong ties between the two countries. First, during the War of Independence, known as the American Revolution in the US, and later during his whole life. This is why we meet today around his tomb, and this is why the friendship between the two people is as strong as ever, not only at the national level, but also at the level of private individuals. Do you know that 1.8 million French people visit the US each year? Lafayette would never have dreamed that. And the number of Americans visiting France in 2018 reached 4.8 million. Wow. Okay, that was before COVID-19, but still. So we're going to see photo number 1, please, Bonnie. The American flag has flown over Lafayette's tomb since 1917 without interruption. Even during World War II, the Germans did not remove it. I hope one day historians will look into it and elucidate this mystery. Here we see the change of the flag by US soldiers, which happens every year, as François said, on July 4th, under the supervision of the US ambassador to France and a number of French officials, including the French Sons of the American Revolution, represented today by François Guitard. Photo number 2, please. Here we see a group of the French Garde Républicaine and a group of US Marines marching together in the yard of Picpus. Very moving picture, I find. Let's hope they will come back soon. Photo number 3, please. We selected 3 photos of AFL members at Picpus. I want to apologize in advance to the many of you who came to Picpus one year or another and will not be shown. I can assure you that we remember you all and that you are in our hearts. From left to right, we see Myriam Vazé, president of Club Lafayette, myself, I was a little younger, Bonnie Fritz, our outstanding secretary, and Chuck Schwamm, our great treasurer and event planner, whom you have heard very much today. Next photo, please. On the right-hand side, you can recognize Jackie Nalla, my dear next-door neighbor in Kansas City. In Kansas, sorry about that, Augie, you're from Missouri. And that is from 50 years ago. We have remained close friends ever since, like many other friends among whom some are online today. Hello, John, I've seen you online. Hello, Jane, the whole Comer family who hosted me for 1 year in 1966-67. I saw Mark Jensen online also, welcome. I would like to mention a lot more friends of those days, but we don't have enough time today. Next slide, please. As you can see, the next slide is about Nathalie and Julien. Should be about Nathalie, okay. As you can see, the AFL is not only about senior citizens, we also have a young guard. On the left side, this beautiful girl is Natalie Palmer, granddaughter of my friend Jackie, who came over to the Picpus ceremony in 2015 while she was a student at Lafayette College. Thank you for sailing with me in Brittany, Nathalie. That was great. On the right stands Julien Icher, a wonder French boy, the founder of the Lafayette Trail Project, which landmarks and documents all the stops of Lafayette during his famous 1824-25 tour of the Eastern United States. In coordination with the AFL, he is preparing a great bicentennial event, which will take place 2 years from now. It's good to see you, Julien. I miss you. It's about time you come back to France for a visit. Once again, these pictures are just a few illustrations of this fantastic Franco-American friendship that has developed over 240 years. We are happy to have Lafayette as a common hero and a symbol of this friendship. Vive Lafayette and happy 4th of July to all. That's it.
Thank you very much, sir. Sorry I almost skipped over you. It would have been a shame because you did such a wonderful job. Thank you so much for your presentation, sir.
No problem at all.
We miss you here in the United States. Benoit usually joins us for our AFL meetings every year, and obviously we haven't seen you in a couple of years, so it's good to see your face, sir. And now, without any further ado, in the correct order, I now introduce to you Augie Huber from Missouri. And again, Augie has been a representative of ours at the Picpus ceremony for many years, and I'm very honored to have you. Augie?
Thank you. I'm honored to be among this group, although I'm not sure why. But bonjour. My real name is August Lafayette Huber III, and my son's name is August Lafayette Huber IV. Unfortunately, there's no family lore or stories about the genesis of the name Lafayette in our family. But I've been reading stories about Lafayette since I was a little boy. And if you'll humor me, I would like to tell you my personal story of looking for Picpus. I first visited Paris in about 1984 as part of the team helping the artist Christo wrap the Pont Neuf. I continued visiting Paris frequently from then and continue to today. I had read somewhere that Lafayette was buried in a small private cemetery in Paris, but in the days before the internet, it was difficult to learn anything at all about it. Since I always stayed at the same small 30-room hotel in Paris, I got to know the owner and his wife and had frequently asked them if they knew anything about Lafayette's tomb, and they always said they had not. On a visit in April of 1992, the owner's wife raced across the lobby to hand me a small piece of paper. On it was written, Lafayette, Picpus Cemetery, Rue de Picpus. My wife Laura and I raced there immediately. The cemetery is in a very large block that's about 3 kilometers all the way around it. For those who've not been there, the entrance is a large wooden door with a small wooden man door. There's a small sign there today, but either it wasn't there that day or we missed it twice. On our second 3-kilometer lap around the block on a hot, sunny day, the young lady coming towards us suddenly opened the small wooden door and disappeared into the space. I knocked on the door until she finally opened the door. And in my best French, which is terrible, I explained our mission and she agreed to give us a tour. I'd never heard the story of the 1,306 souls buried in this place who perished at the guillotine in the Place de Trône, but the significance of the place was in the air. As we walked across the stone area in front of the chapel and then into the coolness of the vine-covered pathway to the cemetery, it was impossible to not feel the importance of the place. Finally, she opened up a creaky gate and ushered us into the actual cemetery. As we walked to the farthest corner, the first thing you noticed was a new American flag and a few flowers at Lafayette and Adrian's tombs. Today, it's a matter of moments on the internet to learn about this place, its history, and to find many images. I've been back many times since then, and I still feel the awe I did the first time Laura and I entered it. In 2017, I had the honor of placing the wreath from the American Friends of Lafayette at the base of his tomb during the annual event we're celebrating today. Laura and I continue to return every chance we get. On June 30th, 2017, at this event, Ms. Uzrazea, who is the Chargé d'Affaires at the American Embassy in Paris, presented some remarks that I'd like to read a few excerpts from today. She said, "Today we gather here on this hallowed ground to honor a great French leader and recognize the friendship between two nations that he helped build. As the annual celebrations of founding of our respective republics approach, it is fitting that we take time now to remember a man who was instrumental in the birth of both countries. 100 years ago, France was under siege in the Great War, having already suffered 3 years of brutal combat on its own soil. In its time of need, France turned to an old friend, the United States, to answer the call. With 14,000 French US troops arriving at Saint-Nazaire and other locations in the summer of 1917, Colonel Charles Stanton, aide to General de Gaulle, General Pershing, came here to Lafayette's tomb to declare, "Lafayette, we are here." With those words, he signaled to France and the world that the United States was committed to democracy and freedom, and that it also stood ready to repay its debt to its closest ally. Today, to echo the statement made here almost 100 years ago, we say, "Lafayette, we're still here." 4 years later, Ms. Zaya is again with the State Department, serving as Undersecretary for Democracy and Human Affairs. And thank you very much for your time.
Here is because we wanted you to be here. You did a great job, and it was a very moving thing you said. Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you so much, Augie. All right, everybody. The rest of the program goes like this. We are now going to show you this very special film from 1917. It's a silent film, but you'll see the marching down the Champs-Élysées. We'll show you the Picpus ceremony that happened then with Stanton and Pershing in attendance. It is a silent film. It's a little choppy. You'll see that it shows the ceremony in the beginning, the marching towards the middle, and then the ceremony again at the end. But if you'll bear with us, I think it's very, very important to watch this film. Afterwards, we'll be playing taps, which is what happens during the Picpus ceremonies, and then we'll be playing Onward. So Bonnie, if you would be so kind as to show us this film from 1917, and maybe if any of our panelists want to comment during the film, they're welcome to do so.
My comment is they had no sound in those times.
As you can see, that's exactly where Beatrice and Jean-Jacques were earlier this morning when they laid the wreath, right there. We will see Colonel Stanton in the very near future give his speech. Here he is. They sure do look packed in there, very, very crowded. People are probably very excited about the fact that they're no longer a war-torn place. Paris has been freed by the Americans. Notice the American flags in the crowd. Not these are Parisians waving American flags as they march down the Champs-Élysées. This day cemented Lafayette's place in the world as the unification of our two countries, Paris and France, the friendship. In a few moments, we'll be back at Picpus with an even closer camera angle of Colonel Stanton. Now you can see soldiers carrying the American flag, civilians carrying the American flag. Even though it's a silent film, you can feel the excitement. You can actually, it's palpable. You can actually feel what's, how excited everybody is to be there, and what an important day this was. Here they are entering that was them walking down the path that Augie actually was so eloquently described. You can see that people are sitting on top of the wall. It's so crowded, people had to actually climb up and look over top of the wall there. And here comes Colonel Stanton. Thank you very much, Bonnie. I want to thank everybody. Bonnie worked really, really hard on this presentation. It was, we all practiced earlier this week. I want to thank Alan Hoffman, Francois Guidard, Miriam Wazet, Beatrice Slovakia, Jean-Jacques Fongeron, Benoit Gazard, and Augie Huber. Thank you all very much for today. And now we will end our ceremony with the playing of taps and the playing of one more. Have a wonderful 4th of July, everybody. Thank you for attending, and God bless.
So thank you and goodbye. Voilà. Là, c'est fini.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. And God bless America and God bless France. Bye-bye.
Thanks to you.
Thank you, Chuck. And Bonnie.
Yeah. Vive Lafayette, right?
It's nice
Thank
to
you
be
very
with you
much,
this
Alan. Vive Lafayette. So now we are going
We
to have a
can't
drink.
end without saying Vive Lafayette.
week.
We are going to have a
Allez,
drink.
vive là.
Yes.
Voilà.
Okay, vive Lafayette. Have a
There
have a
it
nice
is.
time.
Bye.
J'aurai une pensée spéciale pour tous les AFL de France, mercredi matin à 11h, lorsque je dirigerai la cérémonie à Picpus, en
Merci.
petit comité restreint, comme vous le savez.
Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Voilà.